Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday morning. Hey Jesse, how's it going? I woke up and just in time for the entire show. True. ISDD owns France Shrimp. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean that I like shrimp? Does that mean that I am a shrimp? I don't know. Never understood that. Alright folks, we do have quite the amount of headlines to go over. But first, Liz Spanner redeemed one dab and one dab they shall receive. Howdy, howdy. Had to make some coffee, same. Same. Okay, we got some definite, some interesting videos here, so we'll start with, Hey, Darknet, how's it going? We'll start with the continuation of the roast of Joe Manchin. So we found an unexpected, I mean, like, this is like a broken clock kind of deal, but just to prove the point, I suppose. Broken clock is right twice a day, so but it still proves the point, right?
Virginia, he's conservative Democratic Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia. He's the only Democrat in the Senate who has not signed on to sponsor the voting rights bill and who this weekend said he doesn't support it. He made that as clear as he ever has in an op-ed that he published this weekend in a West Virginia paper. And it's interesting, Senator Manchin is not actually making any substantive case at all against the voting rights bill. It's not like he's laying out the things in the bill that he's against. He says he's against it purely and only because there aren't Republicans who will vote for it. I mean, Republicans wouldn't vote for COVID relief either, and he supported that. But apparently on...
Right, like that was my entire point yesterday. Like my entire... the majority of yesterday's like stream was the frustration with this, you know, with these two folks, President Joe Manchin and Madam President Kyrsten Sinema, right? This is exactly it. This isn't like... They legitimately have no real reason, and the sake of bipartisanship is a losing strategy. Manchin's gotta get real tired by the end of the day carrying all that water for corporate Dems. Not even! Oh my god. I mean, unless they're just hiding behind him. But, not even.
On voting rights, Republicans saying no, regardless of why they're saying no. That's reason enough for him to say no, too. Here's something else, though, that I don't think you've seen. It's something Senator Manchin probably very much should see. This is new polling that was just done for a group trying to pass the For the People Act, a group called End Citizens United. They work specifically on trying to get anonymous dark money out of politics. They polled West Virginia voters. The margin of error is plus or minus 4 points here. And look what they found. This is Joe Manchin's constituents. On the COVID relief bill, which Joe Manchin voted for, that bill is wildly popular among West Virginia voters. COVID relief has 64% support in West Virginia. That's huge.
Yeah, and generally that COVID relief bill was popular, generally speaking.
Polled on
not just in West Virginia.
Biden's infrastructure bill, the American Jobs Act. Incidentally, that's another bill that Manchin says he won't vote for unless Republicans vote for it too, regardless of why they're voting no. The infrastructure bill is even more popular among West Virginia voters, right? COVID relief has that huge number in support, 64% support. The infrastructure bill is even higher. In West Virginia, that has 68% support for the infrastructure bill, the jobs bill. But now look at this. The third piece of legislation they polled on in West Virginia is the For the People.
Okay, so somebody yesterday brought up in chat that, you know, maybe he's just doing the will of his constituents and blah, 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 blah. Is he, though? That never made sense. That never made sense from the beginning. And now there's actually polling data to back that. He's not even representing his constituents. Yeah, he can just, like, unironically, he might as well just literally just switch parties at this point. Unironically, Darknet, you just might as well just be, you know what? I mean, you're effectively doing the job for them. You know, whatever. You might as well be. Correct. You can just join the Republicans. You might as well. You're not doing what your constituents want you to do anyways. That's what I wanted to point out here. Right? This right here. Never mind Rachel Maddow. This polling is what I wanted to pay attention. Is what I wanted to bring to attention. Right? This guy isn't even doing the people's like will in his own state. What is the point of being an elected representative if you're not even doing the will of the people? Jesus Christ. And then like the excuse is so milk toast. It's not an excuse. It's not like, oh, I don't want to do anything because I'm trying to do something bipartisanship. Bro, that doesn't exist in this point in time, okay? It'd be one thing if you'd be negotiating with people in good faith. You're not. That ship has sailed. Do the right thing. He's doing the will of the corporations who he was put there to represent. True. This is incredibly frustrating.
Act, the Voting Rights Bill. It is more popular than COVID relief. It is more popular than the...
And this is not, again, this is not just in West Virginia. This is kind of a general trend to begin with. Okay? This is a general trend that these pieces of legislation are incredibly popular, okay? You know, maybe not to this degree of like this wild swing of 79 to 15%, but most of these pieces of legislation across the board are pretty much supported by the majority of people. So yeah, you're not even doing the will of the people. Why are you there? Even Q people understand corporately run our country. Americans are united on this problem. It's irrelevant. What is the fix? I understand that people can point out the same problems. It's the solutions that aren't being deployed. The reality is the only way you get this to the only way to make any type of headway or any type of progress is you have to get this person on board. There's no way. You have to get President Joe Manchin and Madam President Sinema to play ball. That's it. And the only way you get to do that is by lighting a fire under their butts. And the only way to do that is building pressure from the bottom up. Even Chris Wallace called him out for his faulty reasoning. Hey KTS, yeah, I mean like it's very obvious. Like it's just no real good howdy. There's no real good reason. There's absolutely no good logical reason as to why he's doing it, except for what Darknet just commented. The only thing that makes sense is that he's there to hold the line. He's there to hold the line. That's it. That's it. You people have a vague notion that things are pretty fucked up, but they're completely brainwashed to think corporately and left they're the same thing. Right. He's lining up his job prospects when he loses his seat? Maybe. I don't know, but like, that, maybe, that doesn't even make sense, because like, what job prospect? He is going to run for re-election. And he is the strongest in West Virginia. He is the strongest candidate. I don't think they're gonna knock him out that easily. I think he is going to run for re-election. I think I don't know, I really, unironically, the only thing that makes sense is that he's just there to hold the line. Like Darknet said, he's just doing, the will of the corporations who put him there. That's the only real reality, the only thing that makes sense. That's the only thing that really makes sense, because he's not doing the will of the people. He's not even like helping his own party. I don't know. But this is what I wanted to point out. This here. Every single thing that the majority of the legislation that the Democratic Party, like the actual legislation that's being proposed, the actual legislation that's making its way through Congress or the Senate, a lot of these are popular, and it's not just in West Virginia. And yet, we can't get, you know, a single thing done. And it's like, the other lame excuse was that he would support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. He would support that because he claimed that had bipartisanship support. That's his reason. His reasoning. When in reality, the bipartisanship support that he meant was maybe Lisa Murkowski. Maybe. And this is the bipartisanship support. Right there. That one... It doesn't even break the filibuster. It doesn't even break the filibuster. This is this has been one of the most incredibly infuriating moments, because I talked about this yesterday. I mean, holy crap. Do you know how like big of a how much of a slap in the face it is to the people who made a monumental effort, and it was a monumental effort to get unprecedented turnout to the voting polls, to get unprecedented campaigning and ground game to get the 2 senators in Georgia, because that was against the odds. Let's be quite honest. The odds that both of them would win to flip the Senate, were pretty, like, it was not looking good. Okay, at the you know, just an overview of it, it doesn't look like they would have been able to flip both. But using but with the monumental effort that they did, all the ground game, all the campaigning, all the everything, to then do this, to then have the results equal this. Here in Georgia, we were working nonstop. Exactly. There you go. I mean, like, how much of a slap in the face is that? And tirelessly build that ground game, only to have one single person or 2 people just kind of throw that all the way. Like, what was the point? What was exactly the point of all that effort if you guys weren't even going to, like, you know, get it together here. And if you don't, and if the Democratic Party does not get it together in time, simple, they're just going to get swept. That's the thing. They're just going to get swept. And all that work and all that effort was for nothing. His reasoning for not supporting the For the People Act is because allegedly this was coming down the pipeline. Well, guess what, Joe Manchin? They aren't going to support this bill either. For the People Act isn't the only voting rights bill with problems. The other proposal on the Democrats' agenda, named after the late civil rights leader and House member John Lewis, who died last July, faces a steep uphill climb to winning 10 Republicans needed to break a filibuster in the Senate. Hold on, folks. Give me 1 second. Oops, sorry. This whole country is being held back by one man. It's a ridiculous situation. True. All right, sorry, folks. Faces a steep uphill climb to win the 10 Republican votes needed to break a filibuster in the Senate, according to conversations with key senators. Yeah, they aren't going to vote for your stuff anyways. Why is this happening? Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, the only Republican who has endorsed the proposal, expressed uncertainty Monday when she was asked to describe the path to 60 votes in the evenly split chamber. I don't know. It's a challenging one. I think we just have to be honest with it. You've got to find an awful lot of Republicans to join us on this. Yeah, and where exactly are you going to find these awful lot of Republicans? Okay? They didn't help you with the stimulus bill. Okay? They didn't help you with the stimulus bill. They're not going to help you even with the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. They're not going to help you with that. They're not going to help you with the For the People Act. They're already attempting to torpedo or water down to the point where it's meaningless. The infrastructure bill. I mean, what? They torpedoed the January 6th commission, even though that was probably the most fair situation presented to the Republican Party, where literally both parties had equal members, equal subpoena power, like the most equal thing that was presented to them, and they still shot it down. What is the point? Jesus Christ. Really, Biden should just ultimatum Joe Manchin had either plays ball or they support anyone standing against him. The filibuster is anti-democratic and it's used to counter democracy. Really, I see 4 years of wheel spinning like the entire Obama administration. If that happens, thinking Sabercat, we're effed. I'm telling you that right now. If that happens, we're effed, because that's going to result in the same situation where the exact same situation that produced Trump, maybe even worse. I don't like that. I would not like that outcome. Howdy. Yeah, I would not like that outcome. I want something done. The reality is, thinking Sabercat, is you need to figure out a way to light You need to figure out a way to light a fire under Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema's ass. That's it. That's the only way you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it done. And if you can't figure that out, if you can't break whatever is whatever's happening there, it's just not gonna work. We're gonna exactly what Thinking Sabercat is saying. We're just gonna sit here 4 more. Well, I don't know about 4, but yes, we're gonna sit here 4 years of wheels spinning. Nothing gets done. The fundamental problems aren't addressed, and yeah. I don't understand the Republican objection to the infrastructure bill. Everything in the GOP proposed bill is in the Biden bill. That's because they don't care. The GOP will vote. I mean, Mitch McConnell said they will oppose. They will be working. They will be working to stop 100%. Their focus is 100% on stopping the Biden agenda. In other words, they don't care. They're not interested in like providing any type of solutions for this country. Their main goal, which they've stated, they're being upfront about it. They're telling you what they're doing is to stop the Biden agenda, no matter what it is. The Biden agenda could be everybody, I don't know, the Biden agenda could be the most like comprehensive plan to fix the country. The Biden agenda could be the most comprehensive climate solution. The Biden agenda could be the most comprehensive New Deal program that would benefit the country in an enormous way, and they would still shoot it down because it's not about whether or not it's good for the country, whether or not they care. Pepe Silva. Any important committees they can threaten? No, I don't know. I don't know if they can. And pressure has to come from the bottom up, I think. Is there any lawyers or Democratic strategy to obstruct Republicans? No, that never happens. It rarely happens. I'm being exaggerated, but it rarely happens. The Republicans support the infrastructure bill just because of the fact that it's a massive bailout to corporations. Yeah, even if it's everything that they wanted, they don't care. It's not about that. It's not about that. Yeah, under Trump. Exactly. Under Biden, it's just more wasteful government spending, blah, 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 blah. Insert the usual BS here. Yeah, they prefer mutual destruction and a democratic win. Even when I was apolitical, I understood this when Obama adopted their healthcare plan and still tried to tank it. Yeah, they didn't get any support even after they stripped Obamacare of everything and just left it as a handout, as a gift to the insurance companies. Even when they stripped everything from it and just left it as a huge gift to the insurance companies, they still didn't vote for it, and then they have the gall to still complain about it to this day. This is incredibly frustrating. President Joe Manchin on Sunday dashed hopes of passing for the People's Act, a sweeping election overhaul bill that would guarantee universal access to mail-in voting and 15 days of early voting in every state. Cementing his opposition in a opinion piece for the Charleston Gazette Mail, Manchin wrote that Congress shouldn't overhaul election rules on a party-line basis and that it ought to focus instead on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act because there's bipartisan support to pass it. Yeah, no, there isn't. Jesus Christ. You spread it forward. They prefer, yeah, the Obamacare is a Republican-based plan based on Bob Dole's from 1995. I think there was a, the original Obamacare was more progressive, I think. The original plan as first presented, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm 1000% wrong. Anybody in chat can fact check me. But I thought, I thought that the original proposal was a bit more progressive, and then slowly it got to the point where it was the final one. Yeah, maybe not voting and caring is giving up. True, kind of. I mean, like, I understand. There's, trust me, Alio, there's not really much to be happy about, you know? There's not much to be enthusiastic about. So if people don't vote, which is another concern, sorry, yeah, which is another concern. If you made so much effort, if you know, did all of this effort just to you know, just to get slapped in the face, what makes you think all these people are gonna come out and vote for you again? Oh, I see. The main point is it was still birthed from the Republicans, and they still opposed it. Gotcha. Yeah, that brings up another concern, because like if you made this monumental effort to get to flip the Senate, keep the House, and win the presidency, right? If you made all of this monumental effort, got nothing for it, what makes you think all of these folks are gonna come out and vote for you again, right? What makes you think that they're gonna come out here and vote for you again? You're depressing voter turnout. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to care because everyone feels like they're just getting shafted, and they'd be right. So this guy is damaging in more than one ways. Not only is he like holding up, not only is he holding up the fact that there's like important legislation, but he's going to single-handedly he's gonna single-handedly lead to the Democrats, the Democratic Party completely getting swept in 2022. Yeah, that moment when Joe Biden is to the right of Nixon. Jesus Christ. Well, of course, Jesse, we have to win #1 in everything, including medical debt. But getting 10 GOP votes would be a slog, even if every Democrat backs it. Murkowski's friend and fellow moderate, Susan Collins, in Maine, didn't say whether she supported the John Lewis proposals. When asked on Monday, her office declined to comment. Yeah, this is the usual cop-out. Like, why do these people keep getting propped up as, like, the reasonable ones, the quote-unquote moderates, when they never really come through at the end of the day? I don't know. If I was an employee, I'd ban him. I'd fire him. I'd say ban him from everything till he does the right thing and not even talk to him. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know at this point. Like, I don't even know what the Democratic leadership can do to to pull him aside and be like, look, bro, you need, what's going on here? Just from like a strategic point of view, for the Democratic Party, this is not helpful. So I don't know what the plan is here, but they need to talk to him and get him on board. The alternative is just, well, nothing is going to get done, and then they're gonna get swept, and then nothing is definitely not gonna get done, and then they're gonna lose all three. They're gonna lose all three. Maybe. Maybe threatening to remove him from future committees. I don't know. I don't know how, like, how much he cares about that or doesn't care. I don't know what the situation is. If you eject Manchin from the Democratic caucus, then Republicans take control of the Senate. They kind of already have. If Joe Manchin doesn't play ball, what is the point? I'm not saying they should eject him. I'm saying that, like, at this point, what is the difference? What is the difference? If Senator John Cornyn of Texas, the former chief vote counter for the Republican caucus, said he opposes the measure and intends to talk to his colleagues so that they understand what the implications are. It's basically doing through the back door what Democrats are trying to do through the front door on S1 and HR1, he said, using the congressional names for the bills. I don't want that to happen. What I don't want to happen is if S1 doesn't make it because of people like Joe Manchin are opposed to it, that people say, well, it's kind of a lesser included provision, it's just as big of a problem as S1. Wait. Wait, no. That's not the same. Asked if whether he believes 10 Republicans can support it, Cornyn said, I hope not. So there's your bipartisanship right there. There's your bipartisanship there. From a climate point of view, if they can't get the environmental policy through, he could go down in history as the guy who ended the world. I mean, single-handedly, this guy is just being a complete, like, wall, effectively. The difference was that the pandemic relief bill was passed. If McConnell was the Senate leader, that bill would have never reached the floor. Fine. Fair, but, like, at this point in time, we're past that. At this point, I mean, what if he votes against it? The infrastructure bill will get passed eventually by reconciliation. Yeah, okay, but what if he votes against it? Or what if he decides not to play ball? I can't wait till the Republicans win the House so we can have 18,464,763 more investigations into the 2020 election or whatever Trump wants investigated. True. Anyways, there's your bipartisanship right there. So that's not an excuse. Democrats say they're at a turning point with Senator Joe Manchin. Manchin's decision to make known his oppositions to the party's sweeping voting rights legislation, a top priority for many Democrats, has raised serious questions about whether they can enact the bold agenda envisioned for President Biden's first term. Manchin and other centrists, Kyrsten Sinema, have created an irksome obstacle within their own caucus, and Democrats have yet to land on a strategy for dealing with the internal dissent. A host of Democratic... Yeah, okay, so, kinetic pause. Maybe not, but how do we know that? And second of all, it seems like this guy isn't playing ball. And the counter offers from the Republican Party has been, like, not sufficient. I seriously doubt it. They can't even fix this. The Social Democracy Party and soak up all the shafted workers and student debtors and take up the purple states and force the issue as the two parties see So it's utterly pointless. It's a system to do nothing. Maybe. I don't know if that's enough people to create that scenario, right? I don't know if that's enough people to create that scenario. The reality is we have to change the way people see and engage with the electoral process in order for that to work, right? So one of the strategies would be to the things that we can do as in the immediate would be to implement ranked choice voting across the board, right? So if your state allows for ballot initiatives or amendments, you can introduce or you can fight for ranked choice voting. Most corporate donors want committees that pertain to their industry. Yeah, I see. I mean, again, that might be a strategy that might work. I'm not sure what the internal politics are. KTS Shine. Republicans want to lowball the infrastructure bill. That's why it'll probably end up being passed to reconciliation with a few moderate Republicans peeled off. No major piece of legislation has passed without reconciliation in over 20 years. Yeah, that's kind of indicative of how broken. Wait. If that's true, that's kind of indicative of how broken this is. And how, like, ridiculous it is at this point that this is what we're relying on. And even then, we're still gonna have to make sure that this guy plays ball. Hey, Jai Bureaucrat. The Democratic Party's only goal right now is to win over never Trump Republicans. There's no pushing them to the left. I mean, like, that's a losing strategy, right? You're not gonna get these never Trumpers, right? If that's the goal, that is a losing strategy. That is a losing strategy. I agree that the system is broken. I'm for the filibuster being ended. Okay. If there's they're dragged back to the center, maybe give cults a personality, and maybe give up cults personalities like Trump's MAGA cult. Ooh boy, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen. He should have been put in the doghouse in January. Yeah, like after the realization, and again, I'm not gonna like knock the idea of like attempting to do bipartisanship, because like that can be turned around and said, hey, look, we attempted to use this. They don't want to play ball. So what are we supposed to do? Sit here and do nothing? No, we were here. There was a monumental effort to put us here. We need to pass X, Y, and Z. That's what should have happened from the beginning. They should have offered the first strike. We know, I mean, obviously the Republican Party wasn't going to play. So at that point in time, when the first time the hand was extended, the olive branch was extended, that should have been the end of it. Okay? That should have been the end of it. Simple as that. It should have been, hey, we need to pass this massive bill to help the American people. Oh, you don't want to pass it? Hey, look, these people don't want to pass anything involving like fixing this country. Therefore, and therefore we were put here with a monumental effort, ground game, to provide the most unprecedented turnout in like what, 100 years. We're here to solve problems, and if the Republican Party doesn't want to play ball, that's okay. We'll figure it out. But this is not it, folks. This is not it. This is not it here. Newsflash: zero Republican support on the stimmies. Yeah, they never did. I think. Even when they negotiated all the way down, they negotiated all of the They negotiated the rescue plan. They watered that down, and they still didn't get votes for it. they negotiated the you know, stimulus packages. They negotiated them down and still didn't get a single support. Not one. Not one. Not one. That's right, they need to show results soon because here in Georgia, Warnock's seat is up for election next year. Yeah, and do you think that after all that effort that was put to bring Warnock to the Senate, after all that effort, do you think that those people are going to show up again? Do you think that those people are going to show up again? Mm-mm. A host of Democratic leaders and progressive activists who spoke to The Hill on Monday expressed a mix of resignation and anger over Manchin's weekend op-ed, voicing his objection for the PEOPLE Act. Several noted there appeared to be no heads-up to the White House or key Democratic leaders that it was coming, and it was widely seen as an abrasive move. While a number of Democrats were careful with their public remarks, anger's building given the difficulties to pass major structural reform now coming within the party. Yeah, no kidding. Well, they don't want to get swept. This is it. Make it happen. Hold on, folks. I've been having a really runny nose. Do you think Destiny will canvass in Georgia next year? Yeah. I don't know. Anger at Manchin and Sinema when it comes to the response is nearly as strong as what we saw from President Trump, said Brianna Wu, executive director at the Rebellion PAC left-wing political action committee attempting to recruit primary challengers to centrist lawmakers. A vocal portion of the party believes that challenging Manchin and Sinema from the left is the best way forward. Okay, but like, how are you going to do this? What candidate is going to primary successfully someone like Joe Manchin in West Virginia? I don't know. I think that the strategy is they have to get these people aside. They have to get them aside and be like, look, bro, what's going on here? We legit have to work even harder to save the Warnock seat next year because of the new restrictive voting laws passed here. So if people feel like there's no reason to vote for him, we'll definitely lose that seat. Yeah, I would argue that based on these actions and based on this attitude, they probably are going to lose more than just Warnock's seat. I mean, based on this attitude, on the attitude coming forth from Manchin and Sinema, they're gonna torpedo. They're gonna torpedo the entire, like, whatever small steps that were done are all gonna be. In fact, we're gonna go backwards. And remember what Mitch McConnell said, that if they won the majority back, they would see the most conservative swing back that this country has ever seen. Remember, McConnell threatened that if what was the exact quote that he said? He said that if they continue to push this radical agenda, if and when we get power back, the pendulum is gonna swing much harder the other way, and we will pass the most conservative agenda possible, or something like that, right? Do you think McConnell's kidding? Do you think Mitch McConnell is kidding? Do you think he was kidding when he said that his only focus would be 100% on stopping the Biden agenda? Do you think he was kidding when he was trying and obstructing and using every tool at his disposal to block anything and everything during the Obama administration? You think he was kidding? They're telling you what they will do. I don't get it. I don't get where the disconnect is here. Mitch McConnell is telling you what he's going to do. It's not a secret. The thinking is that with enough pressures, voters would see the moderates attempt to work with Republicans as increasingly politically untenable. I think that the PR strategy should be something like this. The PR strategy in terms of like the media attention should be to this effect, right? Hey, we tried, we failed, and this person here has attempted multiple times for the sake of bipartisanship, and it's untenable. It's just not working. It's just not working. Okay, and in the process, nothing gets done. The country is still the country still needs these fundamental core problems fixed. They're not going anywhere. Okay? Still no answers in sight. These radical Democrats are pushing for policies that will make Mao blush. Mitch McConnell. Yeah, so the point being is that anything that President Biden proposes is just automatic socialism, communism, or whatever. Is what the gist of that quote is, right? And that would be the justification for him. Remember, he said that if they got power, the swing back would be hard. Right? So I don't know. I mean, they're being very explicit as to what will happen if they win. As increasingly politically untenable. True. Exactly correct. Cinemas approve ratings on their home turf. Progressives like we want to run ads meant to dampen Manchin and Cinemas approve ratings on their home turfs, and they believe they can make inroads. But other Democrats believe finding a Democrat to the left of Manchin who can win a general election in Trump-loving West Virginia is nothing more than wish casting. Manchin isn't up for re-election until 2024, and with the 2022 midterm elections on the horizon, they argue the window for experimentation is limited. I agree. I don't think we have time for primary challenges, said first-term Rep. Mondaire Jones. It's unclear if West Virginia is going to give us anyone better than Joe Manchin. Jones and other elected officials are looking at Biden to redirect the conversation around voting rights entirely, and Jones viewed the president has worked with prominent Republicans and centrists within his own party for decades, and should be tested on his ability to sway the senator to passing the bill with the right framing. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, sorry guys, hold on. What? Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. So if we repackage this, then he'll vote for it. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. If the president can't make inroads with Manchin over an act that fundamentally protects democratic principles, he is unlikely to be able to move him on other components of his agenda. Yeah, that's a problem. Particularly if it becomes an issue when it comes time to try to do the large infrastructure bill, which is incredibly necessary, in budget reconciliation, because they're going to need his vote. Okay? The White House on Monday played it safe, deflecting a question about whether Biden considers Manchin, with whom he enjoys a collegial relationship, to be a hindrance. We're not certainly ready to accept that analysis. I am. Wait, what? He's objectively being a hindrance. Right. KTS. Right, like, this isn't like a secret. We're certainly not ready to accept that analysis, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said during a briefing. I will say that the president considers Manchin a friend. Yeah. Okie dokie. He knows that they may disagree on some issues, as they do on this particular voting rights legislation. He's going to work with him, reach out and engage with him directly and through his staff on how they can work together moving forward. And in the process, by the time they figure that out, it's going to be too late. By the time they figure that out, it's going to be too late. Yeah, the idea that a Voting Rights Act or whatever legislation that you're trying to pass needs to be bipartisan is ridiculous, because the other party isn't interested in that. And the fact that you're voting against it because it is a partisan measure, well, newsflash, everything you do is going to be a partisan measure. You're not going to get support from the Republican Party. It's not happening. You've already tried that. You've already demonstrated that it's not happening. You yourself did that. You yourself proved the point. Every piece of legislation that you are going to, that the Democratic Party is going to introduce, is going to be partisan by nature, by default. Okay? And guess what? When the Republican Party gets in power, which it will, if this continues, and no palpable results are produced, and which they will, guess what? All the legislation that they pass will be partisan. Well, the majority of it will be partisan. They're not gonna ask, realistically, they're not gonna sit there and wait till they get a bipartisan deal worked out with Democrats. It's not gonna happen. We know this because we've seen it happen time and time again. The problem is our Democrats are more conservative than Democrats. Yeah, well, some of them are, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, some of them are, some of them claiming to be more centrist aren't actually really that centrist. Sinema irritated many progressives late last week when she offered a staunch defense of the filibuster days after it was used to block a vote creating an independent commission to investigate the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Nice meme. There's your bipartisanship right there. One part not mentioned enough is that there's about 8 to 10 Dems planning on not voting for the bill, but they're safe because Manchin is taking all the public heat. Maybe that's the purpose of him. So new reports came out. I guess this is like more the idea is just to kind of have all of this documented. Senate investigators have outlined a spectacular series of intelligence and communication failures leading up to January 6th attack on the Capitol in a new report that paints a picture of a horrific scene that left lawmakers and staff scrambling for safety. A 127-page report, which includes a transcript of former President Trump's speech to rally goers, is the first full congressional committee review of the deadly attack on Congress as it moved to certify President Biden's election victory. It pieces together multiple warnings of violence that were poorly circulated and largely went unheeded by top leaders in several agencies. That left Capitol forces unprepared for clashes with hundreds of protesters outside and inside the building. The report follows a series of interviews with security leaders across the Capitol, Pentagon, and intelligence community about a day where it took hours for additional security to arrive on scene, as ultimately 7 people, including 3 police officers, would lose their lives in connection with the insurrection. Yeah, so, I mean, clearly. The joint effort from the Senate Rules Committee and Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee blames bureaucratic delays in getting assistance to the Capitol Police. Capitol Police officers getting chaotic, sporadic, and, according to many frontline officers, non-existent instructions from commanders. What? Yikes. I mean, like, I don't understand how this could have been, like, so poorly handled. Despite, like, civilians having more or civilians apparently having the capability of putting this piece together before the actual authorities. The failures are obvious. I think to me it was summed up by one of the things in our report where one of the officers was heard on the radio that day asking the tragically simple question, does anybody have a plan? Sadly, no one did. Yeah, it's not like it was posted all over, you know, Parler, Gab, Facebook groups. It's not like it was posted all over there. The report shows how people coming to Washington, D.C. shared online maps of tunnels underneath the Capitol used by lawmakers. It offers a glimpse of previously unreported threats from those planning to attend the rally and makes it clear people discussed bringing weapons. Yeah, which was pretty public. If you hanged out in Parler or these more Parler, Gab, and even some of these Facebook groups, it was pretty obvious what they were pretty explicit. If 1 million patriots show up bristling with ARs, just how brave do you think they'll be when it comes to enforcing their unconstitutional laws? This is do or die. Bring your guns. Yeah, okay. Get into the Capitol building, stand outside Congress, be in the room next to them. They won't have to run if they play dumb. They won't have time to run if they play dumb. Intelligence is faulted throughout the report. It states that I don't understand how, like, intelligence dropped the ball this hard. I don't understand how intelligence dropped the ball this hard. It states that when Capitol Police 3 intelligence units did not convey the full scope of known information to USCP leadership, rank and file officers, or law enforcement partners after learning of intelligence on tunnels, nor did the office shift its overall analysis of an intelligence report just released 2 days later. Even as a January 3rd report warned, Congress itself is the target on January 6th and could create a significantly dangerous situation for law enforcement and the general public alike. The intelligence wasn't incorporated into subsequent reports leading up to the attack. Okay, so like they knew. Wait. So they knew this. There's just no way they didn't. So they absolutely did know. It just wasn't properly brought to the correct people who would have been responsible for preparing for I don't know where the disconnect was here. It seems to me like they knew, and now that I'm reading more of this article, it seems to me like that they knew. However, the proper intelligence, the proper people who are supposed to be the ones preparing for this weren't playing with the full information, weren't playing with the full deck of information. So that's what the issue is, because it's not like they didn't know. It's just that the proper authorities who were supposed to handle this did not receive the exact nature of the situation, supposedly. Although, to be fair, this wasn't like a secret, okay? Even if they didn't have that, even like, why would they rely on just like, I don't know, just complete fumble. I don't know if they're gonna try anything else in August. At this point, it's like, I don't know if it has the same effect anymore. One explanation for why that information wasn't more widely distributed was because a single analyst prepared and disseminated the information without supervisory review. Yikes. The months following the attack on the Capitol, there is still no consensus among USCP officials about the intelligence report's start analysis ahead of the January 6, 2021. Intelligence reports across various agencies cited the difficulty of separating rhetoric from overt threats, but lawmakers also slammed top agencies for failing to provide any official warnings. Wait, no. Are you kidding me? There was explicit post about what would happen. This isn't just like, I understand that there's a difference between like rhetoric and like overt threats, but these people, they weren't subtle. Okay? These people weren't subtle. Wait. There was nothing about bring guns. What? Wait. Is that like, I don't know. I don't get it. And they were taking intelligence about they were mapping out tunnels. This isn't like rhetoric. They were mapping out tunnels underneath. What are you talking about? And it wasn't just like one person. It was groups of them. There's no mystery that these people want an American Taliban. It basically leaves us in a place where the other side of our two-party system just can just be the status quo. Maybe. I don't mean completely pessimistic, but it does seem like an upcoming election, the choice is going to be to vote corporate Dems or vote The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, so, yeah, in the literal sense. Like, there was nothing subtle about this. Despite online calls for violence at the Capitol, neither FBI or DHS issued a neither the FBI or DHS issued a threat assessment or intelligence bulletin warning law enforcement entities in the National Capital Region. Hey, Swartzy. I don't get it. Hold on, folks. My nose is incredibly running today. Hold on. Hey, Memmius, how's it going? I used to work at a state park where I dealt with the reenactor community. I also went to high school in Deep South Georgia. So I'm also old. I know these people, they're terrifying. Yeesh. I wonder if they ever found out who built and brought the gallows to the very peaceful protests at the Capitol. Yeah, no clue. I mean, I'm sure they can figure it out if they wanted to. The report comes as the Senate failed to advance legislation that would create an independent bipartisan commission modeled on the one after the 9/11 attacks to review the events of January 6th. Yeah, so TLDR of this new report, 127-page report, is that it seems like there was a massive failure of communication of intelligence. That's what it seems like. Slept in a bit, having a late breakfast and listening in. Thank you, I appreciate that. So, this is not the accepted consensus, but I think it's worth pointing out. So just to be clear, this is not the accepted consensus, but it is worth pointing out. Deutsche Bank warns of global time bomb coming due to rise inflation. Inflation may look like a problem that will go away, but is more likely to persist and lead to a crisis in the years ahead, according to a warning from Deutsche Bank economists. Now, I think we've talked about this before. That's a lot of the stuff that's going on economically isn't adding up. Okay? This is possible, and people should be aware of it. Again, this is just to be clear. This is not the accepted consensus of economists, but it is a possibility. And at the end of the day, economists are playing a gambling game, essentially, right? In a forecast that is well outside the consensus from policymakers, and Wall Street, yeah, because Wall Street has also been known to be correct. Ooh, what emote is this? 1 plus 2 effectively does equal 5. Yeah. That is a true statement being said right here. Whose emote is this? Like Silas? Interesting. In a forecast that is well outside the consensus from policymakers in Wall Street, Deutsche issued a dire warning that focused on stimulus while dismissing inflation fears will be proven to be a mistake, if not in the near term, then in 2023 and beyond. The analysis especially points the finger at the Federal Reserve and its new framework in which it will tolerate higher inflation for the sake of full inclusive recovery. The firm contends that the Fed's intention not to tighten policy until inflation shows a sustained rise will have dire impacts. The consequences of delay will be greater disruption of economic and financial activity that would otherwise be the case when the Fed does finally act. Deutsche Chief Economist David Landau, Volkerts Landau, in other words, and others wrote, in turn, this could create a significant recession and set off a chain of financial distress around the world, particularly in emerging markets. Skyly is an excellent science streamer, mainly focused on astronomy. Nice. Nice. As a part of its approach to inflation, the Fed won't raise interest rates or curtail its asset purchase program until it sees substantial further progress towards its inclusive goals. Multiple central banks officials said they are not near those objectives. In the meantime, indicators such as consumer price per personal consumption expenditures, price indices are well above the Fed's 2% inflation goal. Yeah, I think it's approaching 4 if I'm correct. Policymakers say the current rise in inflation is temporary and will abate once supply disruptions and base effects from early months of the pandemic wear off. In other words, it seems to me like their reasoning for why inflation is happening and it's going to be temporary is because they're blaming the disruption of supplies as the cause of inflation, and once all the supply chains are back to normal, then it should, in theory, disappear. I'm not sure. I mean, I imagine that, there are other factors involved, I'm sure, so I don't know. The Deutsche team disagrees, saying that aggressive stimulus and fundamental economic changes will present inflation ahead that the Fed will be ill prepared to address. Now, me and my girlfriend actually talked about this. So obviously I'm not an economist, but she is in her master's program for applied economics. So she was saying that this might actually be the case, depending. I mean, she doesn't have all the variables to work with, but this assessment by the Deutsche Bank economist, she thinks that is possible, which is enough for me to kind of bring this up to awareness, right? It may take longer. It may take a year longer until 2023, but inflation will reemerge, and while it's admirable that this patience is due to the fact that the Fed's priorities are shifting towards social goals, neglecting inflation leaves global economies on a sitting time bomb. The effects would be devastating, particularly for the most vulnerable in society. Yeah. This is worrisome for multiple reasons. We've talked about this. There's an unusual, not natural. It's not reflecting the reality of what's on the ground. Like, the stock markets are going up. The stock markets are going up while, people on the ground. This is not reflective of reality, is it? Property values are increasing in an unnatural way, almost artificially inflated. I mean, there's a lot of causes of concern. I don't know if this will end up being the case, but I feel like this is something we should consider. To be sure, the Deutsche position is not widely held by economists. Most on Wall Street agree with the Fed's view, and current inflation pressures are transitory, and they'll doubt there'll be any policy changes soon. Well, it depends. I mean, wait, it depends. Because, I mean, if you're on Wall Street, you want to inflate this bubble, and you want to pump this as high as you can so you can cash out, huh? Is that not the idea? Stock market is going up because we dumped hundreds of billions into the financial markets. We are observing inflation. Stock prices going up is inflation, right? But like it's not real in terms of like the artificial. It's being artificially inflated, and of course Wall Street wants this to continue because they're the ones that are going to cash out on this. However, what happens when they do? Jad Hatzius, a chief economist at Goldman Sachs, says there are strong reasons to support this position. One he cites is the likelihood that the expiration of enhanced unemployment benefits will send workers back to their jobs in the coming months, easing wage pressures. On price pressures in general, Hatzius said that much of the current spike is being driven by unprecedented rolls of outliers that would ebb and bring levels back closer to normal. What does that mean? Wait. Okay, so yeah, I see. So what he was saying is exactly what I said. Like, it's not just like the supply chain. There are other factors involved. I don't know. All this suggests that Fed officials can stick with their plan to exit only very gradually from the easy current policy stance. That will be a mistake, according to the Deutsche Review. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. Inflation isn't really an issue. If new money being created is spent on things which produce new value. This is why this article points to the things getting better once we're able to produce in line with demand, but it ignores the fact that financial markets don't really create new value in and of themselves. Right, i.e. it's artificial. In other words, it's being pumped artificially. This is not a natural... I mean, again, I have zero chops when it comes to economy, being an economist or whatever, and I'm nowhere near that. But I do see that it is strange that, you know, for example, like the housing market. Now that I'm a little bit more familiar with. It's rising in an unnatural manner. It's being pumped artificially. Yes, and by design, in my opinion. Okay, so like I think like we're talking about like the exact same. I think I'm understanding, and I think I'm kind of grasping this more or less, right? Okay. That would be a mistake, according to the Deutsche Review. Congress has approved. Yeah, I'm just saying it a bit differently. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you are a little bit more into it than I am sourcing. I'm just a complete novice when it comes to like understanding like the full scope of like economics or how intricate and complex like these things are. Congress has approved $5 trillion in pandemic-related stimulus so far, and the Fed has nearly doubled its balance sheet through monthly asset purchases just shy of $8 trillion. The stimulus continues to come through even with an economy that is expected to grow at about a 10% pace in the second quarter, and an unemployment picture that has added an average of 478,000 jobs a month in 2021. Never before have we seen such coordinated expansionary fiscal and monetary policies continue as output moves above potential. This is why this time is different for inflation. This is why this time it's different for inflation. Wait, but like that's the idea, isn't it? Wait. They're describing how inflation occurs. Never before have we seen such a coordinated expansionary and fiscal monetary policy. This will continue as output moves above the potential, which is what causes inflation. Howdy! Thank you for the subscription, Tier 1 Prime. I just birthed my ADT baby 9 months. Yes, 9 months. Congratulations. Congratulations. So proud of you, Stupka. But in all honesty, I really appreciate all that support, Stupka. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. All I know is that people should have housing and healthcare. True. The Deutsche team said the coming inflation could resemble the 1970 experience, a decade during which inflation averaged nearly 7% and was well into double digits at various times. Soaring food and energy prices, along with the end of price control, helped push that era's soaring inflation. Then Fed Chairman Paul Volcker led the effort to squash inflation then, but needed to use dramatic interest rate hikes that triggered a recession. Yikes. The Deutsche team worries that such a scenario could play out again. Already many sources of rising prices are filtering through into the US economy. Even if they're transitory on paper, they may feed into expectations just as they did into 1970s. The risk then is that even if they are only embedded for a few months, they may be difficult to contain, especially with the stimulus so high. The firm said interest rate hikes could cause havoc in a debt-heavy world, with financial crises likely, particularly in emerging economies where growth won't be able to overcome the higher financing cost. In other words, this does not look good, which will, I assume, create domino effects. Geez. In a different way, but it's smelling like a whole lot of 2008 with a little extra spice on top. It's counterintuitive, but the only way out of this is actually to spend more. We won't do that. We will raise rates and pretend like it was all because we gave everyone the 1400. Jesus. Yeah, so because but the idea is hey Wing, but the idea is like the and of course, you know, obviously I'm just like playing the devil's advocate. The idea is the fact that we're pumping money into the economy is the reason why it is creating inflation. However, I think realistically speaking, it's more than that, right? I think realistically speaking, the actual explanation is more than that, right? I don't think that necessarily it was the $1,400 that did it, right? Obviously. Well, yes, it's actually to spend more, but it depends on what you mean by spend more. So now just, you know, being real, it means, it depends on what you mean by spend more. If you mean spending more on actual, like, things that will get, that will breed economic movement or jobs or whatever, that's different. That's what people say, but it isn't the injection of capital into the economy, it's that we're not spending correctly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we cannot and should not do the same type of spending. We need real infrastructure spending. Right, that'll do it. I think the biggest economic concern right now is housing. The supply has been artificially decreased by no eviction policies. Housing prices have skyrocketed as a result. You actually just missed exactly what I was describing, Stupka. Unless you were lurking. I've been noticing that a lot of these housing prices are looking a little bit higher in an unnatural manner. And I just jumped in, I was late and missed it. No, that's all good. Yeah, I was actually just mentioning that. Like, I'm not some type of, like, you know, genius economic person, but I do see that you know, stuff like the housing, which is I'm a little bit more familiar with, being artificially, um, it, it's rising in an unnatural manner. I did notice that. So all of these are indicators of problems, right? These are indicative of some underlying issues here that could come back to pop. And again, it smells like 2008 with an extra spice on top. So, just saying. And we've talked about this numerous times. Like, this is something that needs to be understood and, you know, be aware of. Inflation happens because of people having more cash than cash demand. If you give people who will spend the money, then there's no inflation. But if you dump 4 trillion into stocks, that is literally just causing inflation directly. Yep. That and also supply, pure local demand without additional supply or the ability to quickly generate supply will cause inflation, right? People are putting in cash offers for houses and waiving inspections. It's crazy. Yeah, like the house around the street from my parents was, there's just no way that in like a year or two it was almost here, I'll show you. In about a year or two, the house around the street from my parents sold for like almost $1 million. That was unheard of in a year or two before that. It's just like in one fell swoop, it just sold for $1 million, almost $1 million. I think it was like 900 something. That's just unheard of. Unheard of. Well, you know what? In this channel, we do in fact support. In this channel, we do support. We do support the LGBTQ community. We have the shittiest house on our block. Our estimated home value increased by 15% in 6 months. In just 6 months, 15%? Yeah, that doesn't sound very natural, right? You know what? I got something for you. I got something for you. No, I got something. Spread it forward. Hold on. I'm working on it. When are you going to add in an outrageous redemption amount of channel points? I got 22k and I'm continuing to add them up. We do have like a we do have the ability. We have one for 10k. One time 10k for a cute animal video. Wait. Yeah, just You'll go to heaven like you said he would. I did promise that we would watch an extra animal video, an extra cute animal video. 131k. Maybe I'll do like a community maybe I'll do a community a community a channel point reward. Do mods get extra points for banning anti-gay? Well, that was me. That was me. I didn't even take 2 seconds. That was an easy clap. Where I can make a community goal where I like make a green screen. Okay, we'll get a green screen and we'll do the first ever political hot tub stream. Okay, we're doing it. We can have the green screen with that in the background for the politics. Yeah, I was focused on my work. No, it's all good. Trust me, when I see that, it's just easy. Why brand a green screen? Because you can buy a hot tub? Oh no, oh no. Where would I put it? Nah, I'm kidding, I'm memeing, but in all reality, I think that a community goal should be good. A community goal should be good. That'll help shave some of those points, yeah? Oh yeah, she could just build one. That's right, the co-host could just build one. She's pretty good at making stuff. Unironically. Alio with the 10 biddies. Buying a hot tub is patriotic, stimulate the economy, true. Yeah, she probably could, to be honest. Yeah, community poll stream. Oh, this article is terrifying. Yeah, it's the reality we live in. That's why I want to bring it up. But before we do, we need to go over a couple of things. Number one, take a second to chill for myself. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you head on over to the YouTubes. Watch out for corn pop. No peeing in the pool. Make sure you go on the YouTubes. Hit the follow, subscribe, share, like, comment, all the awesome YouTube stuff. Really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. Click this link for 10 years. Yes, for 10 years of good luck. If you click that link, not only will you get access to awesome emotes, but you will get 10 years of good luck. And by good luck means you get 10 more years out of me. Maybe. I'm memeing. If you do want to support the channel, you guys are the ones that make this go. There's many different ways. Stupka very generously subscribed to us with his Prime, which is free. And there's many different ways. Donos, biddies like Alio with the 10 biddies, merch, all of that awesome stuff. It really does help us out. And of course, please spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be. Tell everybody and anybody. Everybody and anybody that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. I will take a quick break and I will be right back. We need to go over this. Actually, we need to go over these two things, but we'll be right back. Okay. All right. Since this is going to be the main event, because I think this is important, let's just go over this really quickly. We talked about this several times, and let's hear what friend Deepak has to say.
I don't know. We've been so in the U.S. today. Let's try Peter from Dublin. Peter, you're on the air.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Pleasure.
American politics is a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, I suppose.
Wow.
Maybe I used to be a fan of that classic fantasy series, The West Wing, many years ago.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I really, really enjoyed
Spread it forward
well-informed commentary
with
of
resubscribe for 4 months. Thank you so much, PogChamp. Poggers.
More specific.
This is
it is related to the commentary.
This is incredibly poggers. Thank you so much with Prime Gaming. Thank you. See? It's free. I made a mistake and ended up in the white Starbucks.
Piece.
But it's Starbucks, though. What did you expect?
So I'm just wondering, don't you think that mainstream media are making the same mistake in relation to her that they did with Trump? And what I mean is, they give her a lot of free screen time every time she says something completely absurd or outrageous, and we know she does it a lot. So will this not promote a dangerous character even further? Like, it seems to be already happening if you look at her fundraising figures, and the mainstream media are none the wiser after how they promoted Trump in 2016, and like she knows very well.
Which I think that what this caller is saying is basically what was it Memo for the Record? I think and I believe Darknet also was talking about this too.
Just, do not feed the troll and ignore her stupid comments instead of going to her. It's another stupid thing. I know she's a member of Congress, so there is. What do you think about that?
Here's the problem. This comes up all the time. This is an ongoing question. Here's the problem. If serious media and left-wing media ignores her, and right-wing media continues to hold her up as a hero, that is the only message that gets out. Now, you might say, well, right-wing media only talks about her because she's so triggering to normal media and left-wing media. I don't think that that's the case. I think that this is someone who, because of her personality and because of her affiliation with Trump, is popular in right-wing media. Now, is there some degree to which you're right that as she gets more media coverage, right-wing media becomes even more sycophantic about her and gives her more coverage? Yeah, probably, but they would be covering her anyway. And the problem with not addressing that there is someone in the House of Representatives who thinks masks are like the Holocaust, and I think she was one of the people with Lauren Boebert who wants guns on the House floor and all this different stuff. The problem is that if reporters ignore it and left-wing media ignores it, the ideas don't go away. It is seen increasingly by the right as legitimate to have someone like this in the House of Representatives, and I fear that it just grows. So I've just not seen any evidence that ignoring it, quote, ignoring it, is really a solution to anything.
Okay, and do you think that she's doing that on purpose? Like, is it marketing tactics? Because it does remind me very much of the marketing tactics of the airline Ryanair that's in the news recently because of what happened in Belarus. So
yeah,
your CEO many years ago, like every now and then he would say something completely ridiculous publicly, like that he will.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like Trump's winning strategy, is it not? Bad publicity is good publicity regardless. I get that, but at the same time, like every time like something like this happens, you kind of have to bring it to people's attention. Like, wait a minute, whoa. This is absurd. Right? I mean, I'm not saying that we have to, like, give Representative Green 24/7 coverage, but the times that something is just, like, so egregious like this, or just so blatant that you just cannot ignore it, you have to push back on it. I mean, right? I mean, on this channel, I don't do, Trump coverage 24/7 or even necessarily 100% like GOP coverage 24/7 or specifically Representative Green coverage 24/7. No, but if I see something, I'm gonna have to say something. I mean, it just cannot be that like this is gonna be normalized, right? I don't know. Am I wrong?
Only introduce one pilot to save money or offer standing tickets or something completely impossible with many regulators. And all the newspapers at the time or radio shows would pick it up and start discussing as if it was a serious thing, and every time they would say, oh, low-cost airline, so that got embedded in people's brains. So is it possible that she's doing that on purpose so that if, as you said, if somebody more right-wing leaning will watch mainstream media, they will see her and it will be just, oh, look at her owning those lip darts again, like is this, do you think she's smart like this, or is it just accidental? That
I think that it's a combination. I think to some degree she knows that there are types of things that she can say that will get her attention. A lot of it isn't good attention. I don't think she's so brilliant at it, though, that she's doing it in a way that really benefits her. I think there's a good chance she gets absolutely crushed in November of 2022, and then that's it for her. So I think that it works in getting her attention right now. Whether it will really achieve or serve some bigger purpose, I don't know. I think it actually could be disastrous for her.
David, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
No. No. I think that's naive. I'm sorry. I think that's naive. I think that just thinking that this just makes her look wacky and automatically is going that she's going to lose and get crushed. I don't know. That seems a bit naive, Mr. Pacman. I got a coffee maker for Christmas and I've never looked back. It's so amazing. Yes, I love my Mr. Coffee. I love my Mr. Coffee maker. I'm still using the same one that I had from that my parents gave me from the first time we moved out. 3 years strong, and I mean I have a little coffee maker and I have a little coffee grinder. We're doing good. Trump is a good example that covering it works. The coverage increases support and voters turnout, but it also increases opposition, which he was defeated by that. Yeah, because like it couldn't be ignored. I mean, like, there was nothing to stand on, because the original reason was that all your problems are because of the Washington establishment and blah 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 and all this other populist rhetoric, even though it's not what he believes. It's irrelevant. All of this populist rhetoric, he's never had a public office, right? So everybody kind of looked at it like, huh, maybe. And compounded by the fact that Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate, compounded by the fact that Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate, didn't produce the turnout that is necessary. He won the election. He lost the election because he had his shot, blew it, created a horrible situation. People saw it, the media covered it, and that's why he lost. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's a... I think that regardless, if you don't push back on ridiculous ideas when they come out to the mainstream, such as a congressperson saying these ridiculous things, I think that's wrong. I think that you do have to say something. People forget when Trump was sworn in, becomes the head politician. True. So, yeah, I think that if you do, especially if it's like a representative that's elected in Congress, says like the most egregious things, like Jewish space lasers or whatever, caused the California fire. Yeah, you kind of have to talk about it, right? I'm not saying it's like a 24/7 thing, but when these things come up, somebody has to say something. I don't know. I don't know if it helps, I don't know if it hurts, but I think that the right thing to do is always point out like the ridiculousness. Like how we're pointing out like the ridiculousness of what's going on with President Joe Manchin, right? And Madam President Kirsten Sinema. I mean, like, this isn't just gonna get swept under the rug. Like, we're not gonna not talk about this. This is also not to say that they're equivalent. I'm just saying, whenever I see something, I'm gonna have to talk about it. Okay? Don't think that's just the me equating. No. I'm saying that whenever I see something, I need to talk about it. I need to bring it to its attention. You know? Alright. Let's get into this. In 2007, Jeff Bezos, then multi-billionaire and now the world's richest man, did not pay a penny in federal income taxes. Cool. He achieved the feat again in 2011 and in 2018. Tesla founder Elon Musk, the second richest person in the world, also paid no federal income taxes. Cool. Very nice. Michael Bloomberg managed to do the same thing in recent years. Billionaire investor Carl Icahn and George Soros paid no federal income taxes 3 years in a row. Nice. ProPublica has obtained a vast trove of internal IRS data on tax returns of thousands of the nation's wealthiest people, covering more than 15 years. The data provides an unprecedented look at the financial lives of Americans' titans, including Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Rupert Murdoch, and Mark Zuckerberg. It shows not just their income and taxes, but also their investment, stock trades, gambling winnings, and even the results of audits. taken together, it demolishes the cornerstone myth. I reject this. It demolishes the cornerstone myth that American tax system, that everybody pays their fair share and the richest Americans pay the most. Yeah, nobody, like, where is this, like, cornerstone myth? Who believes that? I think, like, the majority of the country kind of, as a understood fact, know that, like, a lot of the rich do not pay their fair share of taxes. The president said he was very smart for doing so, for taking advantage of these type of system loopholes, right? It's understood. I don't know if it's a myth that people believe that everyone pays their fair share. I don't know if that's like a thing. I think people understand very. It's not that hard to arrive at that conclusion, that maybe the wealthy aren't paying their fair share. The IRS records that the wealthiest can perfectly legally, yes, that's what, remember, Donald Trump said that makes you very smart, pay income taxes that are only a tiny fraction of hundreds of millions, if not billions, and their fortunes grow each year. Yeah, meanwhile, Bezos is taking his brother into space with him. Must be nice. Many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, amassing little wealth and paying the federal government a percentage of their income that rises if they earn more. In recent years, the median American household earned about $70,000 annually and paid 14% in federal taxes. The highest income tax rate is 37%, kicked in this year for couples earning above $628,000, which is fine. The confidential tax records obtained by ProPublica show that the ultra-rich effectively sidestepped this program. Yeah, I mean, no kidding. America's billionaires avail themselves of tax avoidance strategies beyond the reach of ordinary people. Their wealth derives from skyrocketing value of their assets like stock and property. Those gains are not defined by U.S. laws as taxable income unless the billionaires sell. So, yeah. To capture the financial reality of the richest Americans, ProPublica undertook an analysis that has never done before. We compared how much in taxes the 25 richest Americans paid each year to how much Forbes estimated their wealth grew in that same time period. Ooh boy. And we're gonna call this their true tax rate. No, effectively, I assume. The results are stark. According to Forbes, those 25 people saw their worth rise a collective $401 billion from 2014 to 2018. They paid a total of $13 billion in federal taxes in those 5 years. That's it. That's it. That's a staggering sum, but it amounts to a true tax revenue of only 3.4%, reality-wise. Nice. It's a completely different picture for middle-class Americans, for example, wage earners in their early 40s who have amassed a typical amount of wealth for people their age from 2014 and 2018. Such a household saw their net worth expand about $65,000 after taxes on average, mostly due to the rise in value of their homes, but because the vast bulk of their earnings were salaries, their tax bills were almost as much, nearly $62,000 over that 5-year period. Nice. I mean, if you just look at like the effective like real tax rate, like wealth growth, total reported, taxes paid, that's just nice. No one among the 25 wealthiest avoided as much taxes as Buffett, the grandfatherly centibillionaire, 100 billionaire. That's perhaps surprising, given his public stance on an advocate for higher taxes for the rich. Yeah, okay. According to Forbes, his riches rose 24.3 billion between 2014 and 2018. Over those years, the data shows that Buffett reportedly paying 23 million in taxes. Nice. What a freaking, what a deal. What a deal. Where can I get that? Where can I get that? That works out to a true tax rate of 0.1% or less than 10 cents for every 100 he added to its wealth. Yeah, see, that's kind of the problem, isn't it? It's kind of the problem. In the coming months, ProPublica will use this IRS data we have obtained to explore in detail how the ultra-wealthy avoid taxes, exploit loopholes, and escape scrutiny from federal auditors. Well, I think like one of the reasons why this happens is because, let's be honest, the capabilities of the IRS to audit are on purpose limited. Much like the NLRB is toothless, so is the IRS, generally speaking, hamstrung to be able to effectively audit and scrutinize some of these folks who are avoiding taxes, right? I feel like if the IRS had the ability to really take a look and investigate and audit properly, I'm sure we will find very interesting information. But I mean, is this really like is this really surprising? Is this really like a wow, I never knew that. Not really, but it's nice to have like it's nice to have like a investigative reporting analysis done to kind of like paint that picture, right? Even though like a lot of people like kind of have that image in their head, this kind of just like puts the numbers to that to that image, right? The data behind it. Experts have long understood the broad outlines of how little the wealthy are taxed in the US, and many lay people what does that mean? Many lay people have long suspected the same thing. Yeah, but in the first part of this, you say that there's a myth that people think that everybody pays their fair share. Anyways, but few specifics about individuals ever emerge in public. Tax information is among the most zealously guarded secrets in federal government. Yeah, I wonder why. ProPublica has decided to reveal individual tax information of some of the wealthiest Americans because it is only by seeing specifics that the public can understand the realities of the country's tax system, i.e., TLDR, it's pretty effed, it's pretty broken, it's pretty unfair. It's pretty unfair. I can't wait to see the amount of taxes this guy's gonna pay after amassing so much wealth after the pandemic, because everybody's like ordering from Amazon and stuff like that. I can't imagine. I mean, like, this is stark. This is stark. Because in reality, sure, as you make more money, your taxes increase. Except when you're like, you know, uber ridiculously wealthy, right? This is undeniably, I mean, like, now we have kind of like the numbers behind the notion that maybe the ultra wealthy aren't paying their fair share. I mean, but it's so stark. It's so stark. I mean, how are we supposed to address income inequality like this, right? With this type of attitude, yeah? The revelations, and we... God, it's so frustrating. And we have people like President Joe Manchin saying, trying to negotiate down, like, raising taxes, trying to, like, stifle? I don't know, the word for obstruction. Capital gains taxes. Increases taxes for the wealthy. Whatever. The revelation provided by the IRS data comes at a crucial moment. Wealth inequality has become one of the one of the defining issues of our age. The President and Congress are considering the most ambitious tax increases in decades on those with the highest incomes. But the American tax conversation has been dominated by debate over incremental change, such as whether top tax rates should be 39 rather than 37. On folks like Jeff Bezos, that should be on the much higher. I would say about 90-something% after X amount. You know, after X amount, it should be like 90%. I mean, we've done this before, right? We've done this before. It worked. ProPublica's data shows that while some wealthy Americans, such as hedge fund managers, would pay more in taxes in the kind of Biden administration, the vast majority of the top 25 would see little change. Great. It's not even addressing that issue. And just as a way of showing the receipts, we then verify the information by comparing elements of it with dozens already public tax details in court documents, politicians' financial disclosures, and news stories, as well as by vetting it with individuals whose tax information is contained in the trove. Every person whose tax information is described in the story was asked to comment. Those who responded, including Buffett, Bloomberg, and Icahn, all said they had paid the taxes they owed. Yeah. A spokesperson for Soros said in a statement, between 2016 and 2018, George Soros lost money on his investments, therefore he did not owe federal income taxes those years. Mr. Soros has long supported higher taxes for wealthy Americans. Personal and corporate representatives of Bezos declined to receive detailed questions about the matter. Cool. Musk responded to initial query with a long punctuation mark. Question mark. After we sent some details, he did not reply. One of the billionaires mentioned in this article objected, arguing that publishing personal tax information is a violation of privacy. I've concluded that the public interest in knowing this information at this pivotal moment outweighs that legitimate concern. Yeah, I mean, like, the idea that, like, there isn't some type of problem here is ludicrous, right? The idea that there isn't a problem with this is just ludicrous. Look at this. Effective tax rate. The most is 3%. That's unacceptable. And why income inequality is perpetuated. This is one of the issues, right? And if you guys want to continue to take a deeper look, I'm gonna post this link here. I'm gonna post this link here. All right. In other news, really quickly, Kamala Harris was told to tells undocumented folks to stay away from the U.S. border. So, yeah, anyone who's like perpetuating the idea that that the Democratic Party is a party of open borders and this is what they support, like, no, you're not really much different. Not really much different. And she was met with protests, which is a weird phenomenon. This is not just in Guatemala, but a weird phenomenon of like what would be effectively Trump reporters in Guatemala, telling her to go home and that Trump won. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's silly. It's silly because like she came there to specifically tell, it's specifically to tell like undocumented folks not to come here, but yet these people who support Trump or who clearly are pro-Trumpers are telling her to go home. So remind you, this guy is the same guy who also not only called you horrible names, but also the guy who is implementing like tougher immigration policies that are being continued by this administration. So what is your rub here? Like, what is the deal? It's incoherent. It's incoherent. They just see like Kamala Harris bad, even though she's like essentially doing the same thing that Trump did, telling people to not come here. I don't know. The disconnect here is unbelievable. All right, folks. We do have to get going. I do have to start setting up for work. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out here today. If you enjoyed the channel, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you do the like, comment, share, subscribe on the YouTubes. Join the Discord for awesome stuff. Do the YouTubes. Do the Discords. Awesome stuff. Join us Saturdays. We have some fun. We play video games. We hang out with kitty cats. It's all good. Raid Anna the Nugget? Okay. Sure. He won't lose supporters even when he's directly harming them. Yeah, that's true. It's they live in what effectively is like the double think. You have a good day. You have a good day, Elio. Thank you for so much. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for all the support. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Thank you, Stupka, for the subscriptions. Thank you, Elio, for the biddies. I appreciate that. Thank you all for the new follows. OG Landshark, the Remnant. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate all that. KTS Shine, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate all of you guys. Let's just hang tight. We're gonna head over to I see a request for Anna the Nugget. So let's do that. Alright. Alright, folks. As always, please take care. Please stay safe. Take care of each other. I love you all. We're here tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, doing the news and politics again. Spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be. Tell everybody and anybody that this is a place to hang out, alright? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Stay safe. Take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next stream. See ya! Alright, hang tight, folks. Hang tight. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya!